Hare Krishna. Om Jnanam Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Anmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swarupam Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyuta Padakalam Shri Guru Vaishnav Cha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagan Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam साधवेदम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान सायगन ललिता श्री विशाखावितम च नमाम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पासदेश तारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंचा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च च कृपा सिन्धुवेव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So yes, today we will continue with chapter 3 and chapter 4. Hare Krishna. One may kill an animal to enjoy eating it, but he will be bound by such an action. This is in one's next life he will become a cow or a goat, and the cow or goat will become a man and eat him. This is the Vedic statement. And as with all Vedic statements, one may believe it or not. Unfortunately, at present, people are educated in such a way that they do not believe in the next life. Indeed, it seems that the more educated one becomes, the less he believes in God, in God's law, in the next life, and in sinful and pious activities. Thus, modern education is simply preparing men to become animals. If there is no education to teach a human being what he is and whether or not he is this body, he remains no better than an ass. An ass also thinks, I am this body, as do other animals. Thus, if a man thinks in the same way, how he is different from any other animal? Sri Bhagavatam states, Yassa yatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke swadik kalatradishu bhauma ijyadih yat tirtha buddhi salile na karchi chaj jnanesva abhigneshu sa eva gokhara. For one who accepts the body, which is made of three elements, as his self, who has an affinity for intimate bodily relationships with his wife and children, who considers his land worshipable, and who accepts the waters of holy place of pilgrimage, but does not take advantage of the knowledge of the saintly person, they is to be considered in illusion and no better than an ass or a cow. Bhagavatam 10.8413. According to Ayurveda, the metal body is composed of three elements: kapaha, pittaha, vataha, mucus, bile, and air. Within the body, there is complex machinery which transforms food into liquid. There are so many complicated bodily processes going on, but what do we know of them? We say, this is my body, but do we know about this body? Some people even claim, I am God, but they do not even know what is going on within their own bodies. The body is a bag of stool, urine, blood, and bones. If one believes that intelligence comes out of stool, urine, blood, and bones, he is a fool. Can we create intelligence by mixing stool, urine, bones, and blood? Nonetheless, people still think, I am this body. Therefore, the scriptures say that whoever accepts this body as a self and accept the bodily relation of wife, children, and family as his own is illusioned. The word Kalatara means wife and Adi means beginning. Because a man feels alone, he accepts a wife and immediately they are children and then grandchildren. In this way, there is expansion. Stri means that which expands. So Kalatra Dishu means expansion of the self, beginning from the wife. The word Bhauma refers to the land of one's birth, which the ignorant consider worshipable, Ijyadihi. People are willing to give up their lives for the land where they are born. but they do not know that land, body, wife, children, country, society really have nothing to do with them. We are spirit soul. Aham Brahmasmi. This is a realization of knowledge, and when we come to this point of knowledge, we become happy. Brahma Bhuta Prashnatama Na Sochati Na Kankshati Samaha Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. He who is transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman. He never laments nor desires anything. He is equally disposed to all living entities, and in that state he achieves pure devotional service unto me. Bhagavad Gita 18.54. One immediately becomes jolly, prasanna atma, when he comes to understand I am spirit soul, I am the Brahman, I am not this matter. The sign of this joy is that one no longer feels hankering and lamentation. Within this world, everyone is subject to lamentation for that which is lost and hankering for that which must be gained. But real gain is to understand oneself and to know one's own identity. As long as we maintain the bodily conception of life, we have to abide by the laws of material nature as well as the laws of the state and other laws. Thus, this body is called conditional because it is subject to different conditions. There are varieties of conditions, and regardless of the condition to which we are subjected, we are responsible. If we do not atone for sinful activities committed while in this body, we will have to suffer in the next body because we will get another body according to the karma. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajyate ante kalevaram. This is the nature's law. Sukadeva Goswami therefore recommends that one undergo atonement according to the gravity of his sinful activities. One must follow the method of atonement prescribed in the Shastras, otherwise there is no rescue. Parikshit Maharaj, who was very intelligent, said, by atonement one can become free from sinful activity, but suppose a man has committed murder and then is killed, the sinful reaction of his murder is thus neutralized, but is not guaranteed that in his next life he will not kill another man. Thus, Parikshit Maharaj noted after atoning, people commit the same sins again. If a man is deceased, the physician may give him medicine and cure him, but it does not guarantee that he will not be attacked again by the same disease. Venereal diseases are often contracted again and again despite cures, and a thief may steal again and again despite being repeatedly being thrown into jail. Why is this? Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj noted that although atonement may be good for counteracting sinful activities already committed, but it does not prevent those sins from being committed again. Everyone can see that a man who commits murder is punished, but seeing this is not enough to deter one from killing. In every scriptures and in every law book, man is warned not to kill, yet no one is concerned with these laws. What is the remedy for this? Drishta shrutabhyam yat papam. By practical experience and by hearing from authorities, everyone knows that what sinful activity is, and no one can say, I do not know what sin is. What is the value of atonement if one commits the same sin again and again after atoning? Kavachin nivartate bhadrat kavachit charati tat punha prayasya chittam ato partham manne kunjara sauchavat. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam 6.1.9. When one is being punished, he thinks, what a mistake I have made. I shall not commit this sin anymore. But as soon as he is out of danger, he again commits the same sin. Habit is second nature. It is very difficult to break. Swayadi kriyate raja tat kim nashnate upanaham. Hitopadesh. One may seat a dog on a real throne, but as soon as he sees a shoe, he will immediately jump and run after it simply because he is a dog. The canine qualities are there and they cannot be changed simply by putting the dog on a throne. Similarly, we have acquired material qualities by associating with the three modes of material nature, Sattva Gun, Rajo Gun, Tamo Gun, and our habits are formed by association with these three qualities, which are the qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance. If however we disassociate ourselves from the three modes of material nature, our real spiritual nature is invoked. That is the process of Krishna consciousness. If one is Krishna conscious, there is no chance of associating with the three modes of material nature. And when one is conscious of Krishna, one's spiritual nature is automatically invoked. Invoked. That is the secret. Those who seriously follow the process of Krishna consciousness, though previously habituated to many undesirable things, are able to stay on a platform where there is no material contamination simply by virtue of practicing Krishna consciousness. Thus, Krishna consciousness is an excellent medicine. Unless one comes to awareness of Krishna, the habits he forms in association with the three modes of material nature will continue and he will not be able to change them. If one actually wants freedom from the repetition of birth and death, he must come to Krishna consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sa gunam samiti tayatan brahma bhuyaya kalapate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in circumstances, at once transcends the mode of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Bhagavad Gita 14.26. The Krishna consciousness process does not recommend this atonement or that atonement. One can go on experimenting by atoning, but the desires of the soul will remain unless one comes to the platform of rendering devotional service in love and purifying his life. Chapter 3 finished and chapter 4 started. Chapter 4, learning tapasya, self-control. If one does not come to Krishna consciousness, he may be relieved for the time being from the reactions of sinful activities, but he will again commit transgressions. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj said, Kavachin nivartate bhadrat kavachit charati tat punaha prayaschittam ato partham. Repetitive sinning and atoning seem to be like nothing but a waste of time. He gave the example of an elephant which cleanses his body thoroughly in a lake or reservoir, but as soon as he comes onto the shore, he takes dust and throws it all over his body and immediately becomes dirty again. Thus, Parikshit Maharaj said that although one may cleanse himself in the process of atonement, if he again commit the same sinful acts, what is the use? Therefore, the second question put by Parikshit Maharaj to Sukdev Goswami is very important. How can one ultimately become free from all contamination brought about by the material modes of nature? If one cannot achieve liberation, what is the use of atonement? In answer, Sukadev Goswami said that merely counteracting karma, fruitive activities by other activities cannot bring one miseries to a final end. For example, the United Nations is attempting to establish peace in the world, but they cannot stop war. War breaks out again and again. After the First World War, statesmen and diplomats manufactured the League of Nations. Then the Second World War came, and now they have devised the United Nations, but war is still going on. The actual goal is to stop war, but that cannot be done. By one action, war is created. By another action, war is stopped for the time being. But again, at the next opportunity, there is another war. The cycle of sinful activities and the atonement is like that. When we actually want is to be free from suffering and war, but that does not happen. Sukadev Goswami said that one kind of war causes a disturbance and another kind of war stops it for some time. But it is not the ultimate solution to the problem. Sukadev said that these troubles happen due to ignorance. Avidavad, adhikaritavat. Avidavad means lack of knowledge. Avidavad, adhikaritivat. Prayasachittam vimarsanam. Real atonement is performed in knowledge. Why is there fighting and why there are miseries? Unless these why questions, which is in the Vedas, are called Kena Upanishad, arise in one's mind, one is not fulfilling the proper functioning of his human life. These questions must arise. Why I am suffering? From why I am suffering? Where from I have I come? What is my constitutional position? Where shall I go after death? Why am I put into a miserable form of life? Why are there birth, death, old age, and disease? How can these questions be solved? Sukadeva Goswami says, Nas nataha pathayam ivanam vyadheo bhibavanti ही एवं नियम करद राजन सनहि की Shemaya Kalpate. If one wants to actually stop diseased life, he must follow a regulator principle. If a person does not follow the program given by a physician to cure his disease, he cannot be cured. Similarly, if one does not think or act wisely as Vedic knowledge prescribes, how can he stop the problems of life? Simply by atonement, there may be a temporary suppression of difficulties, but they will arise again. Sukadeva Goswami says that in material or sinful life, we act in a way in which we are forced to commit sins and suffer as a result. This is so, and if we want to stop this cycle of suffering and victimization, we have to advance in knowledge. Ordinary people or karmis are fruitive actors who work all day and night to get some enjoyable results and then again suffer. Thus, the problem of such karmis are never solved. It is suggested, therefore, that one elevate himself to the platform of knowledge as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. The first necessity is tapasya, or acceptance of austerity. If a doctor advises a diabetic patient not to eat but to starve for some days, although no one likes to starve, the patient must voluntarily accept starvation if he wants to be cured. This is tapasya, voluntary acceptance of a miserable condition. The ability to do is good, and human life is meant for that purpose. Indeed, Vedic culture prescribes tapasya, and one can see many tapasvis undergoing austerities in India. In the winter, they stand in water up to their neck and meditate. Standing in water during severe cold is not very comfortable, but they voluntarily do it. In the summer, they also ignite fires all around themselves and sit down in the midst of the blazes and meditate. These are examples of severe tapasya undertaken by many ascetics in India. Some tapasya is certainly required. Without it, one cannot advance in spiritual life and knowledge. If we simply engage in animal propensities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, not accepting the tapasya process, human life is a failure. If one wants to become an initiated member of our Krishna conscious society, we first of all ask him to undergo tapasya. In the Western countries, especially if it is a great tapasya to give up illicit sex life, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. Although we required only these austerities, it is very difficult to observe them. In England, a wealthy aristocrat inquired from a Vaishnava godbrother, Swamiji, can you make me a Brahmana? The Swamiji replied, yes, why not? You just have to observe these four principles: no illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. Impossible, the Britishers replied. Yes, it is possible for in Europe or in America, self-indulgence is the way of life from the very beginning. Indian gentlemen often come to the West to learn these indulgences, and they think themselves to be thus advancing. Indians are automatically taught tapasya, although their Vedic culture, but they come to America to forget that culture and accept another type of life. The real fact is, however, that if one wants to advance in spiritual understanding and solve all the problems of life, he must accept that this life of tapasya, austerity, and restriction. Restriction is for human beings, not for animals. We encounter restrictions daily in our common dealings. We cannot drive a car on the left or run a red light without risking apprehensions by the law. If a dog, however, walks on the left side of the street or cross against a red light, it is not punished because it is an animal. The law therefore makes distinction between human beings and animals because human beings supposedly have advanced consciousness. If we do not follow the rules and regulations, we again lapse into animalism. Apparently, propaganda is being made celebrating freedom as opposed to a regulated life, but one who sees things as they are can understand that freedom from all restrictions in animal life. Therefore, Sukadeva Goswami recommends tapasya. If we want actual freedom from the problems of life, we have to accept a life of austerity. Bondage to material life is the only other alternative. What is tapasya? What is austerity? The first principle of austerity is brahmacharya, restricted sex life. The real meaning of brahmacharya is complete celibacy, and according to Vedic culture, in the beginning of life, one should strictly follow the regulations of brahmacharya. When he is grown up, The brahmachari can marry and become grahastha, and as a grahastha he can have sex, but in the brahmacharya life, strict celibacy is the rule. In the present days, people have become degraded for want of tapasya because they are not taught how to execute tapasya life. Criticism for its own sake will not do. One must be effectively trained in the life of tapasya. In the Vedas, it is said that those who execute a regulated life of tapasya are Brahmans. Itad aksharam gargi vidit vasmal lokat pratisha brahmana. Itad aksharam gargi avid it vasmal lokat praiti cha karpanah. Everyone is dying, for one can live here permanently. But one who dies after executing the life of tapasya is a brahmana, and one who dies like a cat or dog without executing tapasya is called kripana. These two words are used frequently in Vedic literature, brahmana and kripana. Kripana means miser. Brahmana refers to a liberal, broad-minded person. Brahma Jnanatiti Brahmanaha. One who knows the supreme, the absolute truth is a Brahmana. But one who does not know is an animal. This is the difference between animal and a man. Man, to deserve the name, must be educated to understand the absolute truth. Because human life is meant for knowledge, there are schools and college philosophers and scientists and mathematicians. The process of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending need not be taught, for they are learned in this instinctively. Human life is obviously meant for more. It is meant for tapasya and knowledge. There are descriptions in the Vedas of brahmacharya, celibacy, which characterize the beginning of life dedicated to tapasya. Smaranam kirtanam keli prekshanam guhya bhasanam sankalpo dhyavasyas cha kriyar nirvittir evacha. Sridhara 6.1.12. To properly execute celibacy, one should not think or even talk of sex life. Reading modern literatures and newspapers which are filled with sexual material is also against the principle of brahmacharya. Similarly, indulging in sex in any way, looking at and whispering with girls, and determining or endeavoring to engage in sex life are against the principles of brahmacharya. One execute real brahmacharya when all these activities come to a halt. Thank you. Pancha kalpatrubhyascha कृपा सिंधु एवं पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जगदीश की जय।